Alright, after grading all of the synthesis essays from the 2012 practice, I composed a list of tips that I thought everyone could use. The first tip is that topic sentences must be your argument. There should be no facts, statistics, or evidence that was provided by the articles in the first part of your paragraph. So just ditch those. The second tip is to remember to use imagery. This is a language test, after all, so try and be sophisticated in the way you present things. That means show the subject operating in an ideal or real situation. I'll try to give a better example of what I mean by that when we outline a little bit later on. You need to diversify your evidence types. That means transition into quotes. Remember, don't use floating quotes, always transition into them. Paraphrase, and always offer citation. Use inline citation, parenthetical, and maybe even both. Your evidence should always support your argument. Don't provide evidence just to give the facts and statistics clarifying a problem, unless you use a context paragraph strategy. Otherwise, your argument needs to be central and supported by the evidence. So don't think that facts, all by themselves, count as the kind of evidence AP wants to see. Limit your paragraphs to one argument. Don't get carried away by adding an afterthought or a side argument. Keep it simple. Alright, let me give you a sample outline now. Alright, start with that imagery I suggested. Stir nostalgia by describing a happy child getting a letter in the mail. Be sure that you show rather than tell. Then you could give a hard transition into reality, long lines, uncomfortable government spaces, and the convenience of email instead. After employing imagery, you have to make sure that your position is clear, unless the instructions tell you to do something else. Always read the instructions. For the sake of this example, let's say you want to make it clear that the post office is A-OK and should be saved. Do so without using pronouns. Just make it clear that the post office is important and needs to make changes. If you want to use the context paragraph strategy I mentioned earlier, you can come in with a paragraph that establishes the facts of the situation. This will give you a chance to lay out all of the evidence that won't help your argument, but does legitimize a reason to argue in the first place. All right, the end of this paragraph should give your thesis, which should present the details of your specific proposal. The details need to be yours and not derived from the sources. Again, the sources should support your argument. Maybe your thesis contains the claim that with real modifications to image and function, the post office can be souped up and made cool again. Just come to the argument with your own thoughts. Now, AP doesn't really care what your proposal is so long as you can defend it with the required sources. If you propose that there are great advantages to having trained monkeys deliver mail, go for it. Just elaborate on your own idea and then defend it with support from a source. After giving support, tie it all together with your own conclusion. Remember, never start or end your paragraph with evidence. Keep your ideas central. Don't give anyone else the power of the argument. And just keep doing it as many times as you can within the limit. And when it comes to the conclusion, I think a good way to end your argument is to return to the ideal imagery from your introduction, or real, depending on what you're arguing. Make a bold claim that your arguments will restore the post office. Alright, that's it. Good luck with Practice 2013. See me for a conference if you want specific advice.